Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And in this particular video, I want us to look at the explosive allegation which Raila Amolo Odinga made yesterday during the Azimio rally in Kamkunji. In that rally, Raila Amolo Odinga claimed that Wafula Chebukati, the former chairperson of IEBC, and Ezra Chiloba held a meeting with the 4 Venezuelan hackers. So I want to look at that allegation because for me, it is significant politically speaking. But before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And without any further ado, allow me to introduce Raila Amolo Odinga speaking on this particular matter.
Tumesema mpaka sava ifunguliwe. Mpaka sava. Wangapi wanaunga mkono nione hapo? Tumewambia ya kwamba ikiwa kama nyinyi mlishinda, shida gani kufungua sava? Wale mamluki ambaye waliingia kwa sava kuongoza mtu anaitwa Jose Camargo juzi walikuja hapa, bado wako hapa. Walikuwa naishi katika hoteli moja kule Kileleshwa, wakatoka pale wasiposikia kama tunajua, wakapeleka kule Karen, hoteli nyingine huko Karen. Baadaye sasa juzi umetolewa, wameenda huko, sasa wako Masai Mara, kule Masai Mara Lodge. Ni watu 4. Wanafikiria tujui, tunawajua. Kile mahali wanaenda tunawamulika. Wanaingia kule, wanajaribu kubadilisha mambo ndani ya hiyo sava. Lakini tayari tuko na record ya sava. Niwaambie kama unafanya kazi bure. Kazi bure kabisa. Bwana Ruto, yao mamluki yako toa warudisha wewe kule Venezuela. Sawa. Tumeelewana vizuri? Hata wale vijana ambao wanafanya nao kazi hapa, hata yule alikuwa mkurugenzi wa IEBC Bwana Chiloba, wachana na hao watu. Hata Chebukati amekutana na hao watu. Tumeelewana vizuri? Tunawamulika kila mahali, wakitoka hapa tunaona namna hii tu. Tunajua mambo yao. Sawa, sava ifunguliwe, sio? 3.
And the biggest question is, why would Raila Odinga drag the name of Wafula Chebukati and Ezra Chiloba? Wafula Chebukati is making it very clear that these gentlemen were in Nairobi, around Kileleshwa. Then they were taken to another hotel in Karen, maybe Weston. Then from there, because they realized that Azimio were following them, they have now been taken to Masai Mara Lodge. One thing I know for sure is that there is no way Raila Amolo Odinga can make such allegation without any semblance of truth. Which means this Venezuelan, Jose Camargo and the group are in the country. Which means Ezra Chiloba and Wafula Chebukati actually met with them either in Masai Mara Lodge or in that hotel in Karen, or maybe in Kileleshwa. But why do you think Raila Odinga is dragging the toe? Wafula Chebukati is the immediate former chairperson of IEBC, which means he is right at the center of what Azimio are asking for. Number 2, there is Ezra Chiloba, the immediate former Chief Executive Officer of IEBC, currently the Chief Executive Officer of Communications Authority. Communications Authority is in charge of communications in this country, which means anything to do with the servers, he has to be looped in. That's why he has dragged the toe. But I want us to look at why Raila Odinga is raising the alarm. Because in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Before we do that, let me just ask you this question. Why do you think IEBC, in their own wisdom, decided to remove all Form 34As from their portal. Because the issue we are having in this country is the issue of Form 34A. Raila Odinga is alleging that we had two servers. There was that server which was at Bomas, which relayed fake results. Then there was another server which was at IBC. Why do you think Wafula Chebukati and the team decided to remove all those Form 34A? Because you could easily just go into the portal, get the form, verify. Of course, it was understandable because number one, at some point, Wafula Chebukati, after the Supreme Court ruling, were trying to change some forms to conform with what was announced at Bomas. Kenyans were very keen and used to monitor everything, and they kept on highlighting those changes. Number two, Azimio had also penetrated IBC, and they were able now to get the actual and the original forms, which they were then comparing with what was being portrayed at the portal. So they had to remove them. But why would Raila Odinga still insist that these gentlemen are actually in the country? Number one, sustaining the server narrative. If there is one thing which Azimio has managed and have succeeded in doing so far, is the narrative that the results which were displayed to Kenyans at Bomas is actually not the actual results. And that if you want to know where the actual results of the last general election is, please just go to the IBC server. And that's why they're insisting on this IBC server. So by raising these concerns, it means they're trying to keep or to maintain that narrative about the server. In fact, if I were to offer unsolicited advice to Azimio, one thing they must not agree to do is to go into the talks and the issue of servers is not on the table. Because the biggest question, which is normally easy to answer, is why would Kenya Kwanza not feel comfortable with the content of the server if they believe that indeed those servers were the true reflection of the elections? If, for example, William Ruto was sure, there's nothing which stops him. Like, you see, like, for example, he's saying Raila Odinga gave him 3 conditions. One of them was the issue of the commissioners. He's given into that. The cost of living, he's promising that by tomorrow, Unga will start coming down. You go further, the issue of the server is the one which is still sticking to. If William Ruto is so sure, why can't he just allow the servers to be open? Why do they fear? By that alone, the fact that they're not willing to open the server, and Raila Odinga and his brigades raising these issues, it means they are keen on sustaining that narrative. That look here, these guys are not willing to open the servers. They even brought these machineries into the country to try and change. So that even if the servers are to be open today and the content proves that Raila Odinga was wrong, then again, they'll have the ground to suggest that the Venezuelan actually came into the country and interfered with the servers. Because the more William Ruto and his team are saying they are not going to open it, and Azimio are demanding for it, even if they will agree later, someone will easily conclude that they are now agreeing because they've tampered with the content. So that's number one. Number two, I also tend to think that Raila Odinga is just keen on putting Kenya Kwanza to their defense. Then Kenya Kwanza will the next day begin defending. You see, you are telling them you want to open the servers. If the servers prove that Raila Odinga won, then Raila Odinga is going to be declared the president. The next day, Kenya Kwanza comes out, gun blazing, in a press conference that we are not going to open the server. Then they'll say there's a meeting which took place between Wafula Chebukati, Ezra Chiloba, somewhere in Masai Mara. The next day, Kenya Kwanza will call for a press conference to defend these people. And that is actually putting them into their defense. And for me, unless Kenya Kwanza are not wise enough, they're likely to fall into what Azimio is planning. I was telling a gentleman on this particular platform some times ago that Raila Odinga has actually put Ruto where he wanted him. He has managed to push him into a corner, and William Ruto is now struggling in that corner how he can reduce the cost of living, how he can deal with the issue of IEBC commissioners, how he's going to deal with the issue of the servers. So for me, they are putting Kenya Kwanza into their defense. So Kenya Kwanza will have no option but come out to defend. The moment they'll defend, Kenyans will ask them, what interest do you guys have on this particular matter? Number three, I also tend to think that Azimio are doing this as part of their propaganda machinery. We won elections. You are robbed. You want the servers to be open. These guys are not opening the servers. Okay, there's this story that the Venezuelans are back into the country. So it will take the effort of Kenya Kwanza to deal with it. Because one thing I know, Raila Odinga is also not someone who just wakes up and makes some pronouncement. There's some truth somewhere that these guys are actually in the country. That one I can guarantee you. Raila Odinga don't just talk. He's a gentleman who only speaks when he knows what he's speaking about. So for me, it could be part of their propaganda to continue sustaining the discussion about Jose Camargo, about the Venezuelans, about the servers. And Kenyans, being Kenyans, are currently waiting, checking everywhere to get the information. The truth is, in these hotels, Raila Odinga has supporters. So if they serve Camargo and the rest they checked in those hotels, they'll be told. In government, there are people who are sympathetic to Raila Odinga, sympathetic to Azimio. They will tell them that, look here, these guys arrived into the country. These are their credentials. And number four, I also tend to think that Raila Odinga is announcing this based on the intelligence report which he has received, that these guys are in the country. So which means, as much as you are planning to do something, know that we are informed and know that we have sympathizers. So basically preempting their next move. In fact, assuming you are Jose Camargo and you turn onto your TV to follow what's happening in Kenya, and what you confront is that the opposition leader is accusing you of being in the country and that you are in Masai Mara. Assuming you are Jose Camargo and you are in Masai Mara at that particular point, what do you think you will do? Either stay in your room or find an exit. So the next thing, these guys will leave the country. And lastly, I think Raila Odinga is also communicating to his supporters in general that the content of the servers, which you want you guys to know, is at risk. That these guys are actually trying to tamper with the content of those servers. So even if they were to open the servers, show us the content, then us as a coalition, we will not agree with those content because we are demanding them now. They're not willing to give us now. Why are they now trying to push them to a later date? I don't know what you think, but that's my take. Thank you guys. Let us wait and see. But in case Jose Camargo and the group are in this country, that would be very, very unfortunate. And as a country, we cannot allow anybody from outside the country to elect for us a president the way Camargo and the group did during the last general election. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.